So my name's Beth Gu. I'm with Vertical Web, and tonight's discussion is going to be talking about what we need to worry about for 2025. I like to try to kick off each year with an update of what that looks like, what that is, and what should be involved in that. Um, there is a lot. Mostly, some of it is because we haven't really had a good solid talk about this since we met back in November. But we always have a lot to do. I am going to say, if you would do me a favor and please put any questions you have in the chat. If you use the Q&A, I more than likely will not see it because I keep the chat open. So just the other thing is we do a very interactive approach here. So we encourage questions. I try to get to everybody. And that way we all are on the same page here on things because I don't want to lose anybody. So we always talk about Google. I always talk about Google first and foremost. What I'm going to say on the front side of this comment is that what I am going to say applies to Google will exponentially help you in the ChatGPT world. ChatGPT has its own search engine now, and it is actually sending traffic and leads to people's website. What's really good is if you have followed what I have said to you for all these years, you don't really have to worry about it much because what we're finding is our customers are popping up all over on ChatGPT because the content, we are the source material for the ChatGPT content in a lot of cases. So we can touch on that a little bit later, but what I want you to know first and foremost is that Google isn't really the only game in town anymore in a traditional sense. They still do 80% of the marketplace, but what's happening is people are utilizing the chat GPT, and when they're utilizing chat GPT, it is actually causing searches to happen and traffic to relate back to websites. So the need for content and really good content is really more important than ever. And it's a paradox, if you will, because every single time I have one of these classes, people are coming to me and saying, "Hey, can I use AI?" The short answer I'm going to tell you in a teaching environment is no. Um, the long answer is next month we're having a whole class on how to use ChatGPT and how to use AI. So just put that to put that together. But AI is here, it's here to stay. And what it does and how it's impacting our everyday life is probably one of the most important things we're going to need to consider in 2025. Um, and if you don't do it right, you're not going to get ahead. And see that, and that's sort of the problem in all of this is that before it was a little bit easier to tell people how to get ahead, and now people think, oh well, I can take a shortcut, and you really can't take that shortcut because it doesn't really benefit you. In January, in the beginning of January, Google did a new core update. And inside that core update was actually more detection for AI related things, content, information. So what I want to say on this is that if you were all in front of me, I'd ask you who was an expert. And I often ask that question. And I say it quite a bit because we're all experts. And I think we have to embrace that. What I will say is that over time, um, we've got three distinctive groups of people out there in the business world now, because I'm not going to count the baby boomers because I'm going to lump them in with Gen X at this point. But the Gen X folks and the baby boomers people, they approach the internet from a one way, they utilize it a certain way, and they tend to be a little bit more, I'm going to use the word humble, not to be confused with humble, but they tend to be a little bit more, not as much pointing a camera on them, and they try to be a little less assuming. Um, because of the advent of the internet, the millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all of those folks tend to be a little bit more front facing on how they present themselves in the world. And if you notice, some people hey, they're talking about their website, and the first thing they're doing is throwing Instagram out there, and that actually ends up going out before their own website went out. So the thing is that each one of us come from a different experience. So how we approach this, I have half of you that probably would don't want to say I'm an expert, and I have the other half of you that would be out there every day from the rooftops telling everybody about who you are. The thing is that you got to be out there telling everybody who you are, whether you're comfortable with it or not. And you need to take the approach that you are the best there is in whatever you're doing. And I know that it sounds like, why am I giving a self-motivating speech? I'm not really meaning to. But the fact of the matter is that your website needs to be reflective of the fact that you are an expert. And that is how you're going to delineate yourself from the AI bots of the world. Okay. You need to be a thought leader. You need to be ahead of the game. So, one of the things I'm going to tell you is we kind of go through some of the stuff that goes on with all of this. Um, the need to be the best, or the need to present your company as you are the defining expert in the field, is more important than ever. And as long as you're presenting yourself in that way, Google will recognize it. And like I said, I often see us cited, or something that we've done cited in the chat GPT material, which means that we're basically setting the benchmark. So when I say be an expert, it's a certain way of presenting yourself in your business. And what I will tell you is that one of the things, if I was going to tell you to make a marketing checklist and a marketing list for the year, I would tell you that you need to sit down today and come up with 12 things that you're an expert on, so you can put up a page a month that talks about that. Now, Google, when they look at a website, they look at the website to see how much content is on it and how far ahead of it you are, how much you're putting out on it, and what you have to say about things. And because they're looking and evaluating it that way, anybody with a 5-page website needs to kind of understand that they're going to have to get busy to start to compete in the internet world. Okay. Google is looking for websites that have something to say, that are game changers. And you may be saying to yourself, well, I don't know how to do that, or I don't think of myself as a game changer. I'm going to say this: you started your own business, you're a game changer. There's a lot of people in this world that do not understand how to do that, that no matter how hard you tell them or what you try to tell them about it, they don't get it. And for you, you have to take that same um, stick to itness that let you start a business. You need to take and put into the web, and how you create your presence. um, I always say that, you have to have a minimum of 100 pages. And although that is true, there is ways to come up with creating pages a little bit more than what you need to do. But those pages have to be the very best pages. I had somebody walk in my office today and say, the customer doesn't want their services on the homepage. And my first answer was, too bad, they need to be there. And then they said, do you want to call them and tell them that, or shall I? I said, I'll call them, because I can kind of say those things and people go, oh, okay, you're saying it, then I'll do it. But um, you need to be very definitive in what you do. You need to be very pointed in what you do, and you need to be an expert at what you do. This one just came up right now. It said they do event rentals. Okay. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of things that you would say need to be done to have a successful event, or to rent, like if you were, whatever you're renting for, and how to provide that, checklists, how to move, how to start a business. I had one lady today say to me, she's a bookkeeper, and she's like, she needs to start a list of what small businesses need to know. Last week we had a tax person in one of our classes, and that tax person, I said, every person in this room needs to be their friend, because they know so much more than what we know. Those have built in content structures. All right. And from the AI standpoint, you can't be, let me say that a different way. You should strive to be the source of the AI material. Okay. That should be your goal. We probably need to stick it on the corner, you know, be the thing that they come to get their opinions from. Now, I'm going to share my screen a second. I just want to make sure everybody understands what I'm talking about here. Let me try this. It would help if I spelt things right. Still not spelling things right. I'm trying to pull it up so we get a generation over here. Okay, so what's happening is when you come up with a search term that has a AI box to it, you'll notice that there's a learn more box on the side. And if I look in this learn more box, out of four different websites chosen, I have the manufacturer and I have my customer is the source document for this box here. Okay. You may remember when they had snippets at the top and they would pull like what was the best of the best. Well, this is somewhat the same concept, if you will, that you want to be in this box. You want to be the website that they choose to produce this AI content, because in a lot of cases, what's happening is people are reading this and they don't need to go here. Okay. So your job is to get yourself in this box. That should be a goal for 2025. Okay. I'm going to just kind of say that right now. All right. Let's see. Um, all right. So does everybody kind of understand what I'm saying on this? And I mean, there's a lot of hows and whys and what we need to do. But I think that to just say this from a really big standpoint, I want you to be the source material. And that source material is going to carry you a long, long way. Okay. Um, the next thing, excuse me, that I think that we need to focus on is something that I don't talk a lot about. And I don't talk a lot about it because it is, I'm going to use the word difficult to teach to beginners. So if you have questions as I start to kind of talk through this, um, I will do that. So again, I'm going to share my screen again here with you, and I want to let me see if I can do this right. Let me see if I can do this without finding my own website. All right, so, and I'm gonna see if I can't find this down here somewhere. It usually is here somewhere. Here it is. Okay. So the reason I want to put this in here is I want to talk about links, okay, and how we get links to a website. So many years ago, I sat down um, and I put together a page that talked about why every business should have a Chamber of Commerce membership. And that is true. Every business should have a Chamber of Commerce membership. That hasn't changed to this minute. That hasn't changed. Okay. Um,
Why do you
Mm,
say that?
okay. Because at the end of the day, what ends up happening is that Google validates the business off of the memberships and the associations. And the Chamber of Commerce is one of the easiest ones to get and show that you're a valid business. Most businesses won't, that are kind of small or kind of, they don't have that membership. So as a result, it doesn't show that. But these Google My Business profiles, if there's a chamber membership, and I'll show you how this works, they give a backlink. So what I mean when I say that, so let me go to the Houston West C.org resources. Hang on, I'm trying to figure out where the heck they stuck it. See if it's there. There it is. Okay. So we have this. All right, if you look, there's a link to my website from the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. Okay. So that helps validate my business with Google because I have a link from this Chamber of Commerce pointing at my website. In tandem with all of this, I sat down years ago and I wrote a page that talked about why you should have a Chamber of Commerce membership. And when you click through on it, has a little video. It talks about what it all is. It has an article that goes with it. It does all this stuff. And what I started to notice is I was getting links from chambers of commerce across the United States linking to this page. Okay, now there's some tools that let you check backlinks, but how I even picked it up in the first place is all of a sudden this page started getting traffic to it, and it was getting traffic from it from like Athens, Georgia, and a few other places that it was like weird traffic. So I started to go look at it to go see why. So there's a few takeaways here. Um, we'll talk about the Better Business Bureau is a whole different story. Um,
Wait, I have a question about that. So
yeah,
does it have to be a Chamber of Commerce that did put your link on their website? Or that's the key thing, right? That you're a source, you know,
there's
is
two
correct?
things. One is
Okay.
the business is basically validated as being a legitimate business because it's appearing on that Chamber of Commerce website. So they take it more seriously. And the other thing is it's providing a link to your website. So as like I said, links are going to get a little tricky. We don't talk about links a lot, but let me sign into here. Let me get signed in and then we'll bring this up.
And somebody asked a related question. How about major vendor partners?
Yeah, this is all we're gonna go through all of this. So hold on.
Okay.
Because we need to be aware that we need to have this. Now, for starter number one, let me pull this up here on the screen. For starter number one, we need to have links back to our website from multiple different sources. There's two types of links. Some of the links are follow and some of them are no follow. So there's things out there on the internet that track links, and this is one of those programs that do this. And this is my own website that I'm bringing up. Okay, websites have value. All right, and a link from the IRS to an accounting website versus um, Jimmy's chairmaking.com to that same bookkeeping website are two different sets of circumstances. The IRS has a lot of power in its present in its link equity, whereas Jimmy's chair is probably a 0. So let's kind of where I want to go here on this. All right. So let me see if I can get HWCOC. So Google looks at it. Let me see where it is on this. Next page, right? Yeah. Okay. And we're going to look down this list here in just a second and I'll show you. So on this page. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So on this link profile, I get a link. I've got 26 backlinks from this Houston West Chamber of Commerce website. Okay, it goes to multiple pages throughout my website. Some are going to the part that talks about this class. Some are going, well, actually, a lot of them are going to the class. Some of them go to our homepage. Some of them go to the membership page. And what that signals Google is a link is like, think of it like an endorsement or a vote. And when you get votes from a website, they say, oh, this website is better than other websites. So if we come back at my website and we look, my website out of 50 is scoring 49 now. Most websites we deal with are in the 20s. So this website is starting to get into some rarefied air when it starts to get into a number that's a 49 on backlink power. Okay, so they rank them 1 to 100 on what does your link profile look like and what is the value of the link. So if we actually look at the link profile on this, you'll see I have a link from Constant Contact that came from Sandra. Okay, this is a very hard link to get, but because Sandra uses, if you notice, this is an old one that she used out of 2022 or business planning competition, but she linked back from vertical web in a Constant Contact, and I have a follow link from Constant Contact, and that doesn't happen often. It's just because of how Sandra did it. She didn't do it on purpose, if I had to guess, but I got a lot of credit for it. If you start to look down some of this, let me see. Some of my links are missing. I've got to get back and get them. You see, I have a link from Cosmopolitan, okay, magazine. That's a good one to have. I have a link from FreeBSD, which is a high-end programming language. I also have one here from Linux.com somewhere as well. I'm gonna have to take a look at some of these because some of them are missing. But you notice I have do follow links from some of these high-end places that are sort of a little bit on the rarefied side. And I got that, like I have one from Newswire. I did that through press releases. Okay. And I actually got this, and it's really kind of strange. This one came out of a press release we did for a customer, but our website was the contact for it. So we've got some benefits there. I have a very old GeoCities link. And that's because that's coming from an old website that I had. All right, so I have a lot of backlinks. What I will tell you is this one here from Best of the Web. Every one of you should invest in a Best of the Web link listing. It's 99 bucks, and there's not one reason on this earth that you guys can't go get that. Because the thing is, the more of these links, the more votes you have, the better that Google thinks you are. Okay. And because they think that you're better, they put you higher than the guy behind you. Okay. So understand that links are a very important thing. Now, I don't typically talk about this because at the end of the day, it can be very tricky to be able to get a link and to do it in a non. So the way it's supposed to work is this way. You do something really good, like my Chamber of Commerce page, and I think actually if they come and they go. The Athens Chamber of Commerce is hooked up to us. I just don't know where they. trying to find it and I'm not. Maybe this is one. Yep, here we go. I actually found one for you. Okay, so
So somebody put in that the best of the web is a $300 annually. Is that different than the
I
$100 you talked
still,
about?
I thought it was 100. If it's 300, I still need all of that. I mean, it's really, if you can afford it, you need to do it. I mean, it's not really, because at the end of the day, these links are hard to come by. That's one that you can get and that you can get credit out of, and that it pumps it up. So a site that has no links to it, that starts to get a few of these, it gives it some lift. Now, I'm in the SEO and web hosting business, so I have to have a lot more lift than somebody that's a little bit smaller guy.
Okay.
Really, it's some free advice that you all need a best of the web thing. All right. Um, if you look at here, you see that we have the UVBA Upper Valley Business Alliance, okay? And they link to my chamber page. They're a domain rank 40 website, so they're not a slouch. And I am getting credit. I got a vote that this Chamber of Commerce page was a really good page, and they linked it to my website. So this is an example of, you do a really good job on the content that benefits somebody else, and you find that they start ranking that website. So this is an example of that. I also have one, like I said, I believe there's one here from the Athens, Georgia Chamber of Commerce as well. So there's multiple different things here to be able to have it. Yeah, if it's 300 annually, I literally, it's something that you need to budget for that. You need to budget for a chamber membership, because these are things that validate your business. And the first thing that I look at when I see you guys come in the door and you are small entrepreneur websites, you have zero links and therefore you have zero authority. And because you have zero authority, a website with a 2 is not going very far when you want it to go rank on something. So you really have to have a good, strong link profile. And these are 2 that'll help you get there. If you do something good and you need to put a press release out, there's some press release sites that you do, and it helps. It's the next question said, would you have your business link on an affiliated business site? For example, I'm an artist. If the interior designer linked from them to you, yes. Okay. Now let me throw a little bit of a fly in the ointment of this, if you will. So for me, I just showed you I have a 49. Okay. For me to have impactful links now, I have to have ones that are 49 or better. Okay. So what ends up happening is, let's say you are, let me see. Where's the one that says you're Pam Van Gogh, and you are the world's most famous artist, and you have 70 on your link profile. If this little interior design person is a 5, it's not going to help you. But if you're Pam Fernworn and you have a link and you have a 10 and the interior designer has an 11, that link helps you. Now, that's kind of getting down into the weeds on some things here. But what I want you to focus on is, you need to have links to your website because they validate your business. The more links you have, the more votes you have that you are a valid business, that you are a recommendation. Now, Google, I don't know if you remember this, but Google used to have a thing that was called PageRank. And what they would do is they would rank that page from 1 to 100. This 49 that I have, it is an example of, I see that question, I'll answer it in a second. It is an example of, or it emulates the old PageRank system. Now, Google said PageRank doesn't exist anymore. They've been saying that for years. And frankly, I've never believed them. But yeah, so when that Google leak doc came back out in October, don't you know, a system that sort of sounded like PageRank was still built into it. Okay, so I am going to say that links and backlinks are extremely important. The question you guys should be asking me is, how do I get links? That should be the best question you're asking me, but nobody's asked that question. So, but I'm actually going to tell you how anyway. All right, this says, let's see, how do we get links? There you go, nurse. All right, this says, what are the best press release websites to use? Well, I'm going to say newswire.com because you don't have to go buy a $299 membership to use it. We do have a PR Newswire, which is the national newswire. I have a membership to that, and we'll put it out through that. I kind of alternate through them because you get different links from different things. Okay, so we have links from the Newswire services. We also have links from PR Newswire. We've had Yahoo Finance. But then for me, because of my involvement in the community, I have links that have come out of the Houston Chronicle that were tied to this class that there's no money on earth that I could have ever bought that link from because it's an old Chronicle link that they don't do that anymore. So the first thing you have to do is produce exceptional content. And when I say, and again, I'm going to do content and AI next class cycle, so I don't want to get into how do I do that thing. Okay. But I'm going to start with really good content. And what I will say is, like, for me, I get them off of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to do one a blog post, and we're going to talk about how to assemble that here in just a few minutes, I think. But I'm going to do a blog post that talks about domain names, buying them, not using a .com and buying a .co instead, and also the age of a domain. And I think that what's going to end up happening is there's going to become links to that because I'm talking about something that everybody tells me all the time. They've never seen what I'm saying in print. And I think the thing is that they've never seen it in print because most people don't even think to talk about it. Um, and I also think that some of it's, like from the SEO standpoint, the SEO community knows if you can buy an old domain, buy an old domain. I think that older SEO people, it's kind of interesting because I find that a lot of the things that we knew back in 2004 still ring true in a lot of ways because there's so much in Google's algorithm, they don't even know what's there anymore. I really kind of think about that. Um, so there's a lot of things that I know about domains, domain purchases, what to do with them, what they mean, how they're perceived, so on and so forth. And the last several people I've had domain discussions with, they've come back to me and said, I don't find this out on the internet. How do you know this? And I'm like, well, I know this because I know this, and I don't even, it's kind of like, how do you know how to breathe? Um, but because they're not finding it on the internet, they're kind of going, well, maybe you really don't know. Well, no, it's not that I don't know, it's that nobody's really talking about it. It's something that's kind of stayed under wraps. So I think what I want to do is I think I'm going to put out a pretty extensive video that talks about domains, domain names, how they affect your SEO. When you can't find, here's an example. If you found a domain that was 12 years old, that was a .com, it was in good shape, and it was $4,000, or you drop the M in .com and buy a brand new domain for $15, what would you do? I think most of you guys would have no idea what to do. To me, if I could afford the $4,000, that would be the best investment I could make in my business. The vertical web name, once I decided that's what I wanted our company name to be, I spent $10,000 to buy that domain. And I mean, it all about killed us to do it. Those of you that have known me for a while know that we had SEO 411. I bought that domain for $5,000. And the reason why is because it helped push it through. The point of the whole thing I'm talking about here is that what ends up happening is we're going to end up with people linking to my website because I'm talking about something that is unique, that there's not a lot of information out there on, that the average consumer, when I say it to them, they don't even know that they're supposed to know this. So I'm going to end up putting up a page that's going to talk about that. Another weirdo page that I put up years ago, and to this day, I get links to it and I get traffic to it, is a page that I talk about what is the alternative to Microsoft Front Page. And anybody that knows what Microsoft Front Page is, you know that that program went away back, I think, in 2003. I can't believe we're still talking about it and it's 2025. Um, so I'll answer your question in a second, John. The moral of the story is that really good content that you're putting out that shows that you know something that the rest of the internet doesn't know, um, tends to present itself to making links. So the Chamber of Commerce stuff made links. Um, I put up a guide on Google penalties. I have links to that. There's things that I have done. So when I say how to look at your business and let's talk about how do we come up with something that makes that business super unique. Yes, you can do press releases. Yes, you can. I'm going to say buy a link. When I say buy a link is go get something from somebody like Best of the Web. Now, there's people out there that will talk about selling backlinks and they go really full board with what I'm talking about here. The problem with it is that a lot of them spin up content, make the links, get Google's algorithm to react. They rank number one. They stay number one for 5 weeks. They make whatever they get in those 5 weeks, and then Google comes in and smashes the website for spam. So I don't want you um, to go out and start worrying about how do I purchase links. Don't ever go to Fiverr and try to buy a link, okay? Because unless you really know what you're doing, it's like not something you should do. It's kind of like walking into the worst parts of New York or Philadelphia. If you don't know what you're doing, just don't go there. um, Bangkok. I mean, there's certain cities in the world that if you don't know what you're doing, you better stay out of those areas because you're going to find yourself kidnapped in a cell somewhere. Um, okay, so John said, how did the domain get so expensive? The age of it. The age of it and what it says. Business.com was sold for $7 million when they sold it years ago. So what it says and what it contains. So vertical web, when I purchased it, I think it was registered in 2001. So it's over 20 years old and there's a boost in there for that. So the moral of the story is, yeah, I don't want to get on a domain kick, but the older the domain, the more value it has, the more it should be considered. Topics like that gain links. Things that are unique gain links, and you should be doing them to gain links. This one says, is there a recording I can go back and listen to? I haven't made it yet. It's still in my head, but it's coming because literally I had this conversation with somebody yesterday and they were like, but I don't see this information on Google anywhere. And you're probably right because it's one of those things that I think people wouldn't think to do something about. They don't talk about it. There's a whole bunch of people that know how to buy what's called aftermarket domains and why you would do it. But there's a certain value to it that you wouldn't have otherwise. So, with that all said, I mean, that's the things that get links. Um, so that's the link part of this discussion that I wanted to talk about. It says I have a domain that expires. How likely will I be to get it back? Probably slim to none. I mean, there's a whole lot of semantics or exercise in that has to be done to get that. There's aftermarket, there's all kinds of things. So it depends on how long it's expired, where it went, who took it. I mean, the list is endless on that. That's not really something I can. I mean, do I know the answer if I looked at it? Yes. But it's not something I can spitball and answer. But I'm going to say at the same price, probably slim to none, because if it went into redemption, it already is $200 to reclaim it. All right, let's see. Do I have everybody's? All right, using Google My Business worth setting up? Yes, and I gave a whole class today on how to set it up. For local based businesses, Google My Business is extremely important. Um, we will do a Google Maps class here probably maybe April or May. Okay. I will do Google Maps with you guys. All right. That's what Google My Business gets you, is into the map pack. In fact, before I came here today, I was working on how to move a website to the #1 spot on commercial real estate. So, I mean, it is a very, very important thing, um, for any business owner to have. Okay. Let me see. Somebody stuck something over here in the Q&A, and it says, I'm a personal chef and caterer, meaning I don't have a physical location. Does that expect? Okay, not related, but no, there's service areas. You're fine. Just go fill out a service area, and that'll do that. I mean, again, that I had a whole class on that today. We're going to continue that next month in an in-person class. If you guys haven't signed up for the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. You can do that on Vertical Web's website. And I am teaching all about Google Maps in person at the end of March in person. So that will answer that question. It says, do you know why Google is asking us to verify our business? Okay, I don't want to turn this into a local class, but Google is asking everybody to video verify your businesses because they want to make sure that you're not lying about your location. Ironically, I am now caught in the send us a video trap myself. And I think it's funny because anybody that knows me in real life knows that I'm not a long distance track runner, and I am not going to break a speed record. And my office, I had to move it. In fact, I just moved it the other last Friday because the person who had the office sold their business, so I had to move out. So I went yesterday to register my new address, and Google said they want a video of the building, the street sign, and then they want me walking into the building with a key. And I cannot stop the video from the time I started till, and you have 45 seconds. Now, my new office is at the corner of Chimney Rock and Woodway, and it's up a hill. So I don't know how I'm going to get from the street up a hill, unlock a door in the building in 45 seconds because I can barely walk up the hill out the front of the building. So I don't know what I'm going to do about all of this. And I think it's a ridiculous ask on what they're asking us to do. Because to have a continuous video of the street, walking in off the street, and then going to the desk and talking to your employees from the street into the building is 2 minutes. And that's at a reasonable walking pace. So I don't even know. Yeah, I
Can you
wish I
can you do
could.
can you shoot the video and then speed it up?
No, no, and no, you can't call them. And no, you can't do that because they want you to do it off the phone because they want the location services off the phone turned on. So it's not all of that at all. And if you call them, they don't really want to, they can't do it. They want to verify that it's real and that you can do all of this. I need somebody with wings. Forget about a fast runner. I could get Carl Lewis and he couldn't do this as fast as they need it to be done. It is not a reasonable ask. I don't know how they think I'm going to run from street level up to a second floor and get in the building and then show myself unlocking the door on the second floor. I mean, so what I'm going to
Well,
actually
maybe
try,
in a little amount of time, though, that many people are going to.
45 seconds. Yes, in
No,
45.
what I mean is if it's such an unreasonable ask, other people are going to start bombarding them about that as well. So maybe
All
they'll
right, wait,
change
wait. What
that.
do I tell you, Sandra? Google's not in business to support your business. They don't care if they're just gonna be like, do it. And the thing is that if you had a storefront, you could get out of your car, show the storefront, show the surrounding areas, get in the car. But when you're in an office building, it's really freaking difficult.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do this on a storefront and send them a video of me running. God, that would be, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a comedy on YouTube, me running. I mean, let's, anyway, um, so this is going to be interesting, but you have to verify your business because they want to know that you're a real person and that you're a real business and your address is real. And my address is real. It's inside my office is now inside my friend's office. So we're going to end up like with some co-branded space in there. But I have a real office. I have office hours. My doors are open. I have a receptionist. I have all the things that they want. It's just that I'm sharing with my friends. So we'll see if they let me do that because I have the corner office in his office suite. So we'll see. And I have to run up a hill on Woodway to do this, which is going to be very funny and I don't know how we're going to do it. So we'll see. I will get back to you with the details of how this video verification thing went.
Well,
Uh,
that's just not going to work. That people are going to, because for what
Sandra,
about
I
us
know,
here at the campus?
I know.
I couldn't get from the parking lot to my office because we're in an office building too, that quickly. So
Well, even if I parked in a candy cap out front of your building, okay, and did it, there is no way that I can get from the first floor of that building to the third floor of that building to your office to where it says
right.
Center for Entrepreneurship in 45 seconds. But
That's
that's
right.
how the video can be, and you can't shut the camera off.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So I
you
don't
can
really
update us in a
know.
future next month when we're doing the AI one. You can tell us how that's evolved.
My friend Tom also said tell it to go at 2 times the speed. So you'd be like, do that fast speed up thing that they do on videos, so it's a two
Yeah.
minute video, you compress it down to 40. We'll try. I don't know how this is gonna go. I really don't. We'll see. I'm
Okay,
I'm
well, we'll
I'm a
find out
little
next month when we do the AI one at front on the
well,
last
we'll
Wednesday of the
start
month,
with did
sixth
Beth
day.
have to run? Well, that's if I'm still here and didn't have a heart attack running up a hill on Woodway. I mean, there is that too. Google people have too much time on their hands. I agree with you on that. Well, the problem is this, okay? So people lie and they're trying to keep the integrity of it. Now, I can show that I've refiled this with the state of Texas. I can show that I've changed the address at the United States Post Office. I can show that I have a desk, a receptionist, I have awards on a wall, and I have a sales tax certificate. And I should not have to run and show a street view of the sign that says Woodway and Chimney Rock so that they believe that I'm actually at Chimney Rock and Woodway and walking in the door in a continuous video. Okay. They should take my sales tax ID, the decorations on the wall, because literally we have a real office. Just like when we were in Elvira's bakery, we had an office, even though it was inside the bakery, it was kind of adjacent to it. We had an office. We met with customers. We have a receptionist. We checked the boxes. I have a physical address. I am not a runner. I'm now entering the United States Olympic training for sprinting to get Google. I mean, it's crazy. Okay. So we've talked about AI, we've talked about links. I want to talk a little bit about technical SEO. What I mean when I say that is I want you to pay attention to how you structure the content on your pages. One of the things I hope to do this year is do a technical SEO class with you. I haven't done one probably in 6 months or more, so I am going to want to do that. But what it talks about is how the website's built. What is the architecture of the website? What does the page look like? Like, what is the content on the page? How is it structured? How is it put together? How are things linked together? It is a really big thing, if you will. And we need to make sure that we know how to do this right. Okay. We've talked about in this class, you've heard me say, don't just put the word home, about us, and services at the top of your website because you're like every other person in America that does that. Make sure you have a proper title tag on your website. That is equally as important. The reason I say that is because I can't tell you how many times I see a website without a title tag, and I am going to bring this up because I want to show you something, because I was working on this earlier today. I'm gonna say answer live so that number goes away. All right, so I was working on this earlier today. This is a personal friend's website that I'm working on for them. So I just got this up and running for her, and I just started to get it going. And I started to look at title tags and where she was ranking and where she's ranking in map packs. So what I did was I went to and I'm using Kingwood because she's in Kingwood first and foremost. So I started to look down this to see what it says. And if you notice, all of them seem to say Kingwood, Texas, commercial real estate for sale, or for sale and lease, for sale and lease, blah, 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 blah. But they're all data aggregators. Okay. They're not real websites. They're kind of like realtor.com. So I wasn't too married to this, but the fact that Kingwood's first on all of these gives me a minute to think about this. Where this website is on the second page. It's right here. So what I noticed is that this one says commercial real estate investment properties in Kingwood, because what I wanted to go for was commercial real estate and investment properties in Kingwood. I just changed this like 20 minutes ago to commercial real estate Kingwood investment properties. And the reason I did that is because I've got commercial real estate Kingwood and then Kingwood investment properties all bunked up in that same set of words in that word string. So that title tag is really important. I cannot tell you how many times I go to a website and it has no title tag. I was this lady yesterday. If you're here, I'm not picking on you. It's just a great example of what's in the top of my head. All right. This one here, it says the Student Whisperer. This is her website. This is what she does. And that's great, except that she does tutoring in Houston and in Katy. And instead, she's got the name of her business there. And I cannot tell you how many times I see that error, because you are not feeding Google what it needs from a technical standpoint to show you what it needs to do. If I come back to this commercial real estate website that I'm working on, let's go back here. You notice that I've got Houston and Kingwood commercial real estate, featured commercial real estate in Kingwood and Houston, commercial properties available, Kingwood, Porter, and then this one here, medical office building for sale in Kingwood, investment property. If I come back into search, again, I've got all these crazy people. And then here's my building. And this is on a website with no links. I've actually got to get her some links to this website to push it up some, but she's got no links, but I'm still sitting here. And in fact, I think she's even got medical buildings for sale at medical buildings for sale, Houston. I actually think she has a listing on that as well. Because she keeps telling me I'm getting calls from downtown. And she's funny because she says to me, why do these people keep calling me? Or I don't know why these people keep calling me. I have a commercial medical building listing that people are calling her to get, to get that lead. So I'm not seeing it here, so I don't have the right search term. But the moral of the story is, because of how I have this page structured and what I did with it and the technical elements of this website, um, I actually have a ranking page with some really thin content. I don't have really good content on this page. And I just have basically these two listings. And even with that, I have a ranking page on real estate on stuff like this. So the title tags and those header tags are really, really, really super, super, super important. All right, let's see. Can you show us where the title tag goes? Okay. On the website, well, let me say, I'm logged into this one, aren't I? Yeah. All right. Edit page. This is WordPress. Oh, I am going to announce this. I have not done this since before the pandemic. Okay. I just want to tell you that up front. In April, am going to do a hands-on 4-hour seminar on how to use WordPress. That we're going to learn how to use it. We're going to learn what it is. We're going to walk through it. I'm only going to have seating for 30 people. So y'all are going to have to make sure that when that announcement comes out, if you want to go to it and sign up for it, but we're going to do an in-person, I think I'm going to do it 4 hours WordPress clinic for everybody. Okay. All right. Now let's see. What did I go back here for? Oh, because we wanted to look at what the page look like, except I don't want to edit in an Elementor. I want to edit it regular. All right. So you asked where it goes. It actually can go in one of two places. All right. And I'll show you. This is the title tag for the page, but I also have an SEO plugin that lets me override it if I want to and put my own snippet in there. Right now, I have it set to match the head of the page, but on your builder, it should have something that lets you put the title of the page in, and that's what becomes the title tag. Um, If you notice this one doesn't actually have anything on it yet. And because it doesn't, it's a blank website at the moment. The title tag on this just says WordPress setup because it doesn't know what its name should be. Okay, so does this thing have pages on it? Yes. I have a page, I have a blog. This is a blank website, so that's why this is like it is. And it only has a default. But if I was going to make a new post or a new page for it, let me go here. I would add the title. And when I add the title, that's the title tag. Okay. So that is probably one of the most important elements of that page. And if you come down here, you'll notice, I'm going to come back over here a minute. This here, this here, this here, and this here are all written with H tags, which are headline tags. Those are also is equally as important. So if you don't meet the bar and you don't do those correctly, you're going to have a really big problem with this. Okay. So make sure that you're doing that piece correctly. I need to make sure you're not seeing the screen, I think. So hold on a second. Let me just open that again. Share. All right. So what I was saying was this here, and now let's go back. This here is the title tag. This here is the title tag, and you can override it. And you need to make sure you put the right title tag in. Because if you don't, Google doesn't know what that page is about by simply just like this one here. There is no title tag on the page, and because it doesn't, it just has the subject line of the page. it will not rank when it doesn't have a title tag. So it's really, really important that you do that. Okay. Um, all right, let's see. Let's see. Let me see. All right, that one went away. Okay, so hold on, let me come back over here. All right, so let me see. So you guys, are you able to see this? You're able to see the screen.
No,
Uh,
no, you need to share your screen.
I have been. Not that
Well,
last time. I have to go
it
back
was
and
before,
redirect.
but right now we were seeing
All
it
right.
before, you know.
All right. Well, I just shut it off for just now, so we're good. All right. All right. So if we're in good shape, let me see. Let me see what I got here in questions. All right. So I showed you, we talked about where it can go. And you don't change the title tag in Google, you change it on your pages. So when I altered the one I did on the We Love the Houston Real Estate website, I altered it on the website. I want to see how long it takes it to get into Google, that Google has the new title tag, and then I want to see if that moves up. I'm also going to help that website and give it some links. I need to link to it from my website, which will help it. So and I'm probably going to go buy a best of the web link for it too. So we'll get some links to it, and that should help elevate it as well. All right, let's see. Can I change the title tag? All right. I am going to say this, and I'm going to just because I have every month, every class that comes up, Shopify, Word, Wix, Squarespace, those websites do not rank well in Google. They're a platform-based website and they do not work well. WordPress.org is where you want to be. All right. It is I think it does about 70% of the internet now, to be honest with you. Um, but if you want to rank, you cannot assemble things properly in these other platforms for the most part. I mean, I think some people would argue with me SEO for Shopify, but I think it's very difficult. I took a website out of Shopify and copied it into WordPress, and it went up 70% and does 1,000 people a day now, which is not huge, but for just a local architect site, 1,000 people a day is a lot of freaking people. Um, so, I am not going to get on if you're using a platform or a web builder, you need to figure out how to get yourself into WordPress. I mean, I'm happy to have that talk with anybody and help you with that. But I mean, you need to be, if you're interested in getting traffic from your website that gives you leads, then you need to use the right mechanism. It's kind of like coming to the Indianapolis 500 and saying, I want to win the Indianapolis 500 and I'm driving my Yugo. All right. Which for those of you that are old, you'll know what a Yugo is. For those that you are young, we'll call it a Prius and call it even. All right. You're not going to win the Daytona 500 with a car not designed to win. And that's kind of what you're doing when you don't have these websites. All right, let's see. This says I use Canva to build my website, which is, no offense, worse than using Shopify and those Wix, Weebly, all those. All right, because Canva just makes an image and throws it on the screen, which is in essence pretty much a blank web page. Anything so it says, where can I find the title tag after this class? You're not going to find the title tag in Canva. I mean, Canva is not designed to build. I know they have Canva for websites and they make it sound like it does it. It doesn't do it. Okay, so again, we have a situation where you're not using the right vehicle to work in the right direction. Okay, Chat GPT will govern good instructions if you prompt it right. Yes, that's exactly. But it's not going to tell you how to make your website rank in Shopify or any of those things because it really doesn't work well. Um, so just remember that. Let's see. I have a lot of you yelling about the screen here. Let's see. No, you don't have to click on your screen. It says if I click on my screen, I can see the view source and it shows the background code with all the titles and everything. You don't even have to do that. You just have to do the front part Again, let me share back again. All right, you see this? This is what it would look like. This is what the builder looks like, right? It's got a line that says add title. That's what we're talking about right there. All right. You don't have to do anything fancy with the back end of the website. You just simply have to go to right here. We can do it here in the commercial real estate. You see, that's the commercial real estate. I just moved Kingwood from the end of this sentence here to the middle of these two to split these two and added office space for rent with commercial listing and commercial leasing. Because just today she said to me, how does so and so get commercial leases? Well, I've just added commercial leases to her page to help with the title tag of that. Okay, so that's what you're looking to do. It's not, that's kind of really important. All right, let's see. All right, I stopped sharing now. So it's better to move from Wix to WordPress. Yes, please get out of there as soon as possible. All right, it says a company is currently hosting my website and I've been with them for 2 years. I've added my website to the large directory and I think my site is a template that they use for other businesses. I don't rank in Google. I want to buy my website and have someone host it and that understands Google rankings. How difficult is it move another host? Well, it's pretty much, and you know what? I'm going to answer this a little different. I had somebody call me yesterday and tell me this whole big story. And I said to them, I don't have the ability to fix it because you're not moving it to my hosting company and I don't have the other side of it. I can't tell you how to go move it to somebody else, but I can tell you if you're moving it to me, we'll take care of it and you don't have to worry about everything you're spinning your head and the wheels in the dirt about. All right. So the answer is for me, I move websites to us very, very, very often. I almost say daily, but it's probably every other day. All right. So it's not difficult to me because I do it or I call Charlie and I tell him to do it. Um, if it's Squarespace, it can't necessarily be moved. It has to be rebuilt. But it's not hard to do if you know what you're doing. Um, but what I will say is this, okay? So I have a dentist here in Kingwood that I just took over the website for. They were using a company that is templated like you're saying, and we started to look really long and hard at this, and the content was spun across, like when I ran it through a plagiarizer checker, it was pulling up dentist websites in Altadena, California. It was pulling up dentist websites in, Ohio. Um, and we ended up scrapping the whole thing. So instead of keeping it as it was and just bringing it to us, I ended up having to scrap it because really, if the goal was to get it to rank, I could move it to my web hosting, but without major changes, it was not going to be able to work. So, although it's not difficult to move a website, if you know what you're doing, you actually have to look at the website and see what do you really need to do and what is the best interest of the company to, your business to do that. Somebody said, what is my contact information? I'm going to put it in the chat here. It's beth@verticalweb.com. So that way you can, and we answer questions even if you're not customers. So you're all are welcome to call anytime you want. We do that on a regular basis. So yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it sounds if you're using, and I'm going to say this to any of you that have a template based website, you really have your own special set of bad circumstances because um, it is really not a good circumstance or a good place to be. Okay. Um, and now for the bad news that we're all going to have to go pay attention to in 2025. But the good news is I'm going to tell you what to do, and you should be okay if you listen. Okay, hold on. Oh, because I sent it to the wrong people. That's why. Everyone, hold on. 6281389. Okay, and that's my phone number. Okay. All right, leave a message and I'll call you back if I don't pick up because sometimes I actually have a pretty busy day tomorrow. So just leave me a message and I'll call you back when I can. All right. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is user engagement. And in January, Google went down the road to add user engagement to and put a heavier emphasis on it. And what they're looking at is how long does somebody stay on your website? So if I go to the website and I bounce back to Google, I am not an engaged user. And what that tells Google is the result was bad. Okay. If I go to Google or if I go to the website, if I go to a website, and what they're doing is they're going from Google to the website. So they're looking how many times does it appear in the search? How many times is it selected? And they know if you're at the bottom of a page or on page 2, it's a completely different circumstance than if you're sitting in the number 1, 2, or 3 spot. Okay, so let me just say that. So they look at how many times the website appears in search. They look at when somebody clicks through to the website, they look at that. They look at how long that person takes to come back to Google. Um, and if it's too short of a time, you're penalized. And then they look at how long does somebody stay on that website? And do they go to other pages? And they want to know how many of your users are engaged. And they're tracking those metrics and they're tracking them with Google Analytics. And I'm going to open an analytics screen here in a second. What I want to say on this is, first of all, everybody should have their Google Analytics set up because if you don't, you're kind of got a problem there in and of itself. Beyond that, if Google Analytics is you need to have Google Tag Manager set up, and it starts to get really complicated. I'm going to open both of those screens here in just a second, though. You need to know if you're doing a good job when somebody comes to their page. So let me talk a little bit about my own website, and I'm not talking about it in the sense of it's my website and blah blah blah. I want to show you some of the things that I've done to help this. So first of all, I have the whole class sign up and the email sign up. So if you go to the class page, and this goes for all of you, right? I have a big box in the middle that you put your name and your address and your email address in and submit and send off to the class. That's a good thing. And that's an event that I've created to help Google understand that this is a good page. I told Google that this chat box is an event because if I get somebody to come and chat, I'm holding them on my site and they become an engaged user. Does everybody understand why I'm saying that? Because what I'm doing is I'm creating a circumstance that is keeping people on this website. Hang on a minute. I'm trying to find the window for this. It's part of the problem. It keeps eating my Zoom window. Here we go. Okay. So if I take the time and I hold them there, I'm holding them on the website. I have podcasts linked to the website. So if somebody happens to open this and they go to the Apple podcast, this window's still open in the background. It still has this here. I don't know why it's not opening. It keeps giving me problems these days, but anyway. I can do it Apple Podcasts, Android. I can send it by email. I can do lots of things. I have the class signups here on the side. I also have a box that has any of these podcasts that we've done. And just so you all know, the podcasts that come off this website are this class. And we take the video, we put the video out, we put the audio out, we've got it out in 8 directions, and then I'm chopping it up in little pieces so it's out on TikTok. So I'm holding users on the website simply by this page. I have audio, I've got video on demand, I've got TikTok videos, I've got a whole bunch. I look really happy in that video, by the way. I I do all of these things with this. I use Opus Pro to chop up a video. I can take a video, stick it in Opus Pro, and it generates it out to 39 or 40 little TikTok videos for me out of this 2-hour class.
Can you put
Uh,
that the link to that in the chat?
I
Opus
don't
Pro?
it's Opus Pro. They're gonna have to Google it because it's not like opuspro.com. I think it's opus.pro, I think.
Okay. Well, I can't put stuff in. I can't. The host is the only one that can put stuff in the chat to everyone.
No, I just put it in there.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Thanks.
no, wait, I sent it to hosts and panelists. Hold on, I gotta do it
Right.
to sorry.
Okay. Yes.
I think it's opus.pro, but I don't I can't Google it. Just put it in Google and it'll come up. So I do all these things that what ends up happening is I'm pushing people to stay on my page. That's it, right? Okay, thank you. Um, I'm I'm forcing people to stay on this page, and I hate to use the word forcing because it makes it sound like I'm captivating them and whatever, right? Um, and if you
No, but
notice,
it's actually a good resource and people love it,
well,
and
yes, I agree with that too. Um, I have all these pieces going on here
so for
that
instance, today's will be added to this as
today's will be
well.
added to this. All
And
right. The
and
other
next
thing, huh? What? So,
and next month's about AI, which is going to be really great. You'll learn about it here, and then when after we do, you listen to it, and you're thinking, God, I didn't get everything in that, but I got to chat. Then you'll
yep.
be able to go back and look at it.
Well, and that's the thing. We've got like 70, 80, 90 of these things up here now. And I probably have another, anywhere between 20, 30, 50 sitting on a hard drive that I just need to process that I haven't gotten to yet.
But what I think is interesting about what you're doing is, you also chop them up in little bits and they're on here as well. So if they do something
Yes.
to search for things on your website, because especially about how to get them to be able to find stuff on your website, they're going to be able to find little snippets of things to try and
Well,
remember to
hold
answer
on.
a question.
Wait, whoa, wait. So, yes, the answer is yes, it's all here. But I'm talking about in user engagement now. So,
Mm-hmm.
people, one signal off this website that's going on is that a majority of the traffic to this website comes from you guys coming to it directly. So Google is like, hey, wait up a second. We're not the leading traffic source for this website. So that bothers them. So they're always looking at what can they rank on this website because we don't more than it comes off newsletters. So the other thing that I've done to drive some of this is every time I put a blog post up, I have an email that goes out to people that says, hey, there's a new blog post go up. But when I put the blog together, it's put together the same way. And this is what I do. So hold on, let's go over to the blog. This is not, but let's see. I think this one will work. Okay. I actually have a format and a formula to do this. Okay. So I have Google Leaks, what it means for SEO, blah, 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 blah. And you can see I'm way behind because I haven't put something up probably since November or October of last year. So I take the video and I put the video out on YouTube. Now I'm going to open this in another window. You can see that we have the whole YouTube channel running over here and we have all the videos. All right, so these are the little Opus shorts. We've got the class over here. We've got all the takes on things, and we've got years worth of classes. You see them all? They're all here, going far, far back, way back. And frankly, some of them go back before COVID, not as many of them, mostly because, like, this one was from 5 years ago. Mostly because I was only starting to film these when COVID came. And then once COVID came, it really forced the issue that I had to go and put things on video. Okay. So we have quite a collection of these classes, and now I've got the Opus shorts that are running out on TikTok. They're going out to Instagram. They're going up to TikTok, and the TikTok stuff is actually really. I think we have almost 10,000 followers now over on TikTok. So whatever we're doing on TikTok seems to be working. Um, and that's why I said I've got to almost take a bunch of these and chop them up even more because they're just out there going. So the thing is, um, if I and I keep saying this, if I do let me answer the question so that and then we can kind of come back to this. This is, if you do your SEO right, do you need a paid campaign? The short answer is yes. In this day and age, you need some manner of a paid campaign on everything. All right, but that's a whole discussion all on itself off this topic. So I want to stay on this user engagement because it really is something. And what I know that if I stop and I think about it and I think about, if I can think of you guys sitting out there, a lot of you are going to be saying to me, well, I can't do this. I don't have a subject. Well, so far I know I have somebody that does psychology. Well, I think that anybody that's a psychologist at this day and age can talk from sun up to sundown on everything out there and then some. I saw one of you say you're a personal chef. Well, if you're a chef, I mean, you can run your own internet cooking show, or you can talk about what you need to do dietary, or I mean, there's so much you can do with that. I saw somebody else say they're an artist, and they can run their own discussion on art. They can do how-tos on art. They can do anything that you want because the objective is keep the end user engaged. Okay. So I happen to be lucky because I'm not an engineer that I have to do boring math and computations. Or somebody today asked me if I was teaching quantum physics tonight. And I really did like the Big Bang Theory, and they were all physicists, and I really did like Quantum Leap, but that's about as far as you're going to get me to teach quantum and physics, or quantum physics all at the same time. But the point of the matter is, we've got video shorts, we've got long form videos, we have all these things, but you can't just go throw them out on social media all by themselves. It's the construction of this page that is helping with this, right? So when we come back to here, I put the video first. Now, the reason I did 3 different types of this was because I believe in my brain that anybody over the age of 45 is more apt to read than somebody between about 30 and 45. They really like audio and podcast. And then you have the 35 and under crowd that if there's not a video attached, they're not involved. So I put this page together. And what I based it on, what my thought process was on it, is when I went to school, they would tell you that either you were a visual learner, you were an audio learner, or you had to write it out. And in essence, what I did is borrow those 3 components, but I think it's generational in this discussion more than I think it's learning styles. Okay. Because I cannot stand to watch a video and somebody tell me how to do something on a video. Because at the end of the day, I never know whether that video is good, bad, or indifferent. So it makes me a little crazy when I see them and I'm like, can't you just give me the audio write up of this first? And then we can talk about it. Okay. Um, so as I'm looking at this page, I put the video first because the natural inclination is to click that video and the objective is to hold them on the page. Okay. The next thing I have is the podcast. Now, that podcast, you can also go out and subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, and I do have it to go out there. It doesn't work on Google anymore. I have to fix all of that. Okay. Um, But the reality is, I have the podcast there and I have the mechanism to sign up for the podcast. The podcast is also out on multiple other sources. It's out on Spotify, it's out on iHeart, it's on Amazon. I mean, I have it across every podcast platform out there. Okay, so you can subscribe to it anyway. And apparently, people listen to me and ride around Houston, which is sort of a little bit dangerous. I would think listening to me and driving around is a recipe for an accident because you're going to fall asleep. But what do I know? All right. So, um, and then what I did is I take this video and I make a page out of it. What I'm going to tell you is this. All right. And this is just some free advice that I've been working on because this class is 2 hours. To write a page about it or to give it to a writer and have a page about it, it's a big problem because you actually have to put 2 hours time sink into it to write it all out. So I've been looking for a way to take this and have an AI article written about this video. And I actually found a plugin for Google Chrome. And don't ask me what its name is because I think it's called ChatGPT for Chrome. And what it'll do is it takes the audio transcription off of YouTube and it will summarize it for you. And then once it summarizes it for me, I can just go through and bang out one of these articles. But one of the holdups on this has been to write an article on a 2 hour video and have it be relevant to points down the video. And if you notice, it's a summary. If you don't look at the video at all, you can sort of tell what's in that video based on what the pages are, what's being written here, and what's being said. What I am forcing is user engagement. Okay. I am forcing people to stay on my page. Now, it doesn't stop them from going to sign up their podcast and never coming back to this website. And it doesn't stop them from subscribing to the YouTube channel and never coming back to this website. So understand that I am rolling the dice a little bit because I am utilizing third parties inside these pages to do this. But so far, it's working out like a champ. To be honest with you, the user engagement on this website is extremely high because when somebody comes from the email to sign up for the class, that takes some time. They're there and then they start poking around. When I send them an email and tell them it's a new blog post up, they go, they come to the page, they watch the video, they do what they're going to do. And I end up with the absolute large, I really have super good engagement on this. 90% of our users at this point are engaged. I do not have a lot of one hits in, out, and bang, and on down the road. How I know that is through Google Analytics. I'll pull that up in a second. I just want to touch on some of these questions because the questions are, one of them's giving me hives. It says, if I want to do a paid link to add our website, is it possible to do it and take my paid link from GoDaddy and Google and put it on another website builder? All right. Not that that makes much sense to me, but you're not going to GoDaddy is not going to let you pay for a link from them, and a link, the direction that you want the link to is pointing to your website, not to GoDaddy's website. Any link that I see from GoDaddy goes to GoDaddy's website. It says GoDaddy Web Builder, and then it links to GoDaddy. All right, so that's what I usually see. You don't want to get involved. You don't want those paid links in that direction. What you want is somebody linking to you. Okay, so and you're not gonna, I think if I'm reading this correctly, you're not gonna, if I pay a link from GoDaddy and Google to put it on another website builder, I don't even, I'm not necessarily sure I'm even following it, but just remember, you want stuff to go away. My clients tend to be small. We can help them build great websites and be really good SEO killers, but under 100 pages, all we are doing to help is like talking to machine next with a fork and a spoon. Oh, okay. First of all, there is no get any help from Google. They're not here to help you. Second of all, This one page generated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you put up one blog post, um, you can get anywhere from 5 to 7 links from it, which helps go towards your 100. So let's use 5 because it's a nice round number. I would just need 20 pages, and I would now have 100 pages if I assembled my website right. Um, it's really not that hard to get to 100 if you can just do even 5 blog posts in a regular website. You start to be pretty close. I know this website is huge, because I have hundreds and hundreds of pages, and I built a support desk on here, and that knowledge base is ginormous too. So I think my website's 800 and some odd pages, I think. That's just a guess, kind of, sorta. But like you're saying, you had sent me some guy a couple years ago, and we got him set up and we got him running. And I mean, just adding 2 and 3 pages a month, the guy's up to well over 100 pages now. And really, it's only been we're going at 2 to 3 pages a month. So you're doing what, 30 pages a year? That would be 3 years. I think there's 300 pages on that website if I just spidered it by everything that's attached to it. So it's not as arduous as it sounds. But I would just make sure. I mean, just do a couple blog posts and get the thing up and going. I mean, you can't be inspired just because I said 100 pages. You got to start somewhere. And because you're using WordPress, it does multiply them. Virtual electrical apprentice program is an oxymoron to me. I have no idea what that says and why. Virtual electrical apprentice program. Electrical. All right. I think that was for a wrong window. I don't think that was for me. Okay. It says the person that was talking about the links out. Understand, Beth is talking about links to your website, not links from your website. I used to tell everybody that I was antisocial and I would never make a link to anybody's website. The reality is, I have made links to other websites. You're looking at it. I've got a link to the podcast server here. I've got a link to YouTube here. I've got LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. That's not Twitter anymore. Um, and TikTok, all sitting, and Instagram, all sitting up in the header of my website. So I've got all very much, stuff out to other websites. But what I will tell you is that those are necessary evils, and Google understands why they're there. I want to be the expert. So I am not sending my stuff out to other people, period. End of story. It's not happening, and nobody's going to make me do it. Okay. Um, I am not a believer of sending out stuff to other people's website. And the thing is that I'm probably being counterintuitive to that because I tell you guys that you need to get links, which means I want somebody to link to my website. But conversely, I'm not as magnanimous as everybody else. What I will tell you is the one place I did it, and there is a way to contain it. I actually have them coming off of this set of websites. Okay. So none of these link to these people's website until you get into the website here. So they're getting a link from me, but it's a one page, one contained, unsupported link. So I'm kind of helping, but on the same time, I'm not doing it in a manner that hurts my website. If I did that and made links off of here, or I had links on my homepage off to another website, that negatively impacts my website. So I would be really careful on how I linked out. The best thing I could ever tell you is don't do it. And that way you don't do the wrong thing in the wrong way at the wrong time. All right. So that's what I would say about linking out. Now let's go back to user engagement. All right. So I have created a
What
page.
you'd like me to tell you when you 15 minutes left. So 15 minutes left.
I've got 15 minutes left. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other this thing says in the reference to not being taught, in reference to not being taught in video. I don't know what that says. I don't know what that means. Okay, hold on. All right. What are your thoughts on WordPress page builders like Divi? Um, you know, Divi's not bad, it's hard. But what I will tell you is that we've had a really, we came up with, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's not like other people haven't thought of it or did it, but because of speed and all this other thing, um, we ended up coming up and using. There's one theme we use. We use Elementor. Elementor is a lot easier to use than Divi, in my opinion. Divi is very difficult. Um, I have web designers that say, well, the only thing you can use is Divi. Okay, great. That's what you use. I've been using Elementor when we sell hosting and WordPress packages. We sell it with a Elementor license. Um, Beaver Builder's okay. WP Bakery's okay. WP Bakery is code bloated. So as a result, you end up with a lot of extra code. It doesn't execute as fast and it does mess up your core vitals. The wrong theme will mess that up as well. So, like I said, we set our own version of WordPress up. When we give it to our customers, we actually give them our build of it with our licenses and our stuff in it. Um, so you have access to the right things. But I'm not opposed to Divi. I just think it's harder to use than your average bear. That's just my opinion. Um, this says, what if you have been featured on several podcasts? How do you link to those? My first thought would be I'm not linking to them. What I would do, this is how I would do this, right? Okay. I have been featured on the news. I'm looking for something. There's so many podcasts I'm thinking, or so many things I'm thinking. There's a really specific way I do this so that I don't give credit to the end user. I'm trying to think when's the last time. All right. So one of the things that I do is we do segments on Fox News for their technology segments. And Tom Ziska will come and ask me questions about things. And then the next thing you know, Beth is on the TV talking about whatever Tom Ziska wants to ask me about. and I'm not being able to put my hands on it. But what I've been doing is when I'm featured on a podcast, or in this case, Fox News, I actually write an article up about what I'm featured in, and then I embed the news link into the page. So I'm not truly making a link out that somebody can click off of. They actually stay on the website and they stay in the page, somewhat similar to what I'm doing with YouTube. Um,
So let me get this straight. So you write you write everything that you said in the news article,
write
but then they
anything.
can.
No, I just write a summary of what that article was about. I'm just trying to, let me see if I can find it. It was I know I did one on cell phones.
Do you still provide a link to the news station where the whole thing is posted, but they don't really need to go there except that unless they want to check?
No, I don't make a link out to Fox News. Fox News doesn't need a link from me. What I do is I put the link, there are years here. Yeah. When was the pandemic? 2020?
You have 9 minutes left.
No pressure for me to find this thing, huh?
Well, if you just want to tell them what you do, if you
Yeah,
have more
but I,
questions
I,
to
I
answer.
I really, you're asking questions, and the answer is no. I don't do it that way. I embed the link into the page, and I don't make a link back to Fox.
Okay.
Um, but I'm trying to think when the heck's the last time I did something like this. And it was funny, one of the last ones I did is Karen Sharp was with me, which is why that I did pre-pandemic. That's why I'm trying to think before that. I've done several after, and I can't. Let me see if I put the word iPhone in, if it comes up. No, I'm not finding them, but they're embedded in the pages. So the page comes up, I do a small write-up and do it. Um, a picture of the logo, quote yourself, and then if there's a link to the podcast that you can pull it in as a player, pull it in that way. Um, don't link out to somebody else's website. Embed the embed link in for whatever that is. So, like this one, if you come back to my site, let's say you were featured on mine. All right, let's just go to this, right? This can be linked to and embedded. See, here's a share link. Um, embed, podcast embed. See, here's the embed code for it. So you would take that and embed that into the page, and then my podcast would be pulling through to your site, but you're not making a link. You're creating the engagement. So remember, I'm telling you how to create engagement in all of this. So by doing it the way I'm saying to do it, not only am I giving away, so one thing I did not say on links, they pass credit. So a link from me is more valuable than probably most of you guys here. Don't take that the wrong way. But the link from Sandra, like if Sandra ever could get me a link from hcc.edu, that would be even more powerful, right? So she's giving me credit, I'm giving her credit. Like there's credit being passed between these things. So what you don't want to do is give credit back to the podcaster, but you still want to hold the engagement on the website. So what you're going to do is by doing it the way I'm telling you to do it, that that link credit doesn't necessarily pass to and from, because I don't really want that. I want the user engagement. I'm more worried about, I don't need to give link Fox News 26 here in Houston a link. They don't need anything from me. Okay. I need the credit from them, but they're not going to make a link. Now, I will tell you a little side note on something. when we were SEO 411, I would tell everybody our address, our company name was SEO411.com, because if I could get the .com written into whatever they were writing, I'd actually create the link. It's a little bit harder to do with vertical web because vertical web doesn't need a .com appended to the end of it the way SEO I could do at SEO 411. So I was knowing how to manipulate the system just because of what's rumbling around in my head. Um, but what I'm trying to do is let you guys understand how you're pulling this back in. Also, don't link back out to the logo to the logo out to the other guy's website. Again, I am link stingy. I'm not the person that's going to make a link to anything. I want everybody linking to me. I want people linking to me, about me, on me, all of it. That's what I want. And that's what's going to create the user engagement. I've got
Hey, Beth, we've
4 minutes.
got,
What?
yes, but I want to say one thing, just because I can't post something in the chat and we don't have a link to it yet anyway. I just wanted to say on Wednesday, March 26th, our next digital marketing clinic with Beth will be from 6 to 8 p.m., just like now, Wednesday, March 26th. And the topic will be using AI to help guide your digital marketing. Uh, it's about learning strategies to have AI help you improve your Google position and ads. Okay, now that's
All
for
right.
your
I got
benefit as
one
well.
last topic to cover in 4 minutes or three
All
minutes.
right.
Ready?
Yep.
If you do content on your website, you need to go through and audit it and make sure that it's the best possible content it could be. Um, if you notice, most of my pages are pretty long. They're in depth. They explain to somebody what's going on, how they are, so on and so forth. My content is like this, except that if I go all the way back, let's go back to February of 2012. Look at that nice little tiny post. Okay. I haven't taken it down because it's not really hurting me at this point, but this page doesn't meet the criteria. And in an audit, I should be removing this page. Um, it's a good idea, especially if you've been around for a while. If you've had other SEO companies, okay, so that's another one. That's a red flag. I often run into like people that had other SEO companies, and their English is not their first language. And as I say that, English wasn't my first language either, so I don't want anybody to think I'm being mean about that. But Google recognizes poor grammar or sentence structure that's not necessarily congruent with English. Um, they know all of that. They need to pages like this need to come down. Poor sentence structure needs to come down. Um, Audit stuff from other hosting companies. And the other thing, or other SEO companies, the other thing I would do is stick it in a plagiarizer checker, because I think you'd be really surprised if you had somebody else write for you and they didn't have standards set up on it. You might find that it was written by somebody and that it was paraphrased from somebody else, and that's bad. So the bar on content, and it kind of segues out to what Sandra's saying we're going to talk about next time. If it's at all possible, the bar on content is now even higher than it's ever been. And I'm going to come all the way full circle. If you remember, I told you my job, your job is to get in this ChatGPT snippets. All right. And that's the what you should be trying to do. So if you do all of these, you're on the right path for 2025. And if you hang out here long enough, we'll cover some of these topics to help you do a better job. How can we go back and view this? It will be when I get the video, we're going to put it up here. So it'll be the next podcast. If you have signed up for the newsletter, you will get a notification when the podcast posts. Okay. So I have this set to send notifications out to everybody. So if you sign up, then you're in good shape. Um, if you're happy with what I had to say and you feel compelled to leave me a review on Google, on Vertical Web's Google account, I might appreciate that because I could use some reviews. Um, oh, by the way, everybody should be doing reviews, just saying. All right. So with all of that said, it is now 8 o'clock. And to that point, I think I'm going to go get me some dinner and bid you all a fond farewell for the evening. We'll see you next month. Have a good evening, and we'll see you later.
Thank you, Beth. Thanks, everyone. See you
You're
next
very
month.
welcome. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this week's Internet Marketing Clinic. We'll see you next week. Thank you.